What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We finally have FSD version 13 on the Cybertruck. So I actually got FSD version 13 on my Model 3 and on the Cybertruck here at the same time. I went ahead and shot a couple Model 3 videos. One is already up, and I should have one up either right before this video or right after this video. So if you want to see more Model 3 drives, definitely hit subscribe and check out the channel. But this one, we're going to be specifically focusing on FSD version 13 on the Cybertruck. And since I've already driven on FSD version 13 on the Model 3, I can kind of compare and contrast the differences because there are a few minor differences so far between the two builds. So let's go ahead and take a look at the patch notes here. Version 13.2.1, same version that I've got on the Model 3. You've got the same 36 Hz full res hardware 4 video inputs, native hardware 4 inputs, and neural network architectures. So it's all native now to hardware 4. You're not running an emulator of hardware 3. 4.2x data scaling, 5x training compute scaling, reduced photon control latency by 2%. Speed profiles on both city streets and highways, that's the same. Cybertruck was the first to get the speed profiles on the highway, but now city streets as well. Improved reward predictions for collision avoidance and dynamic routing around road closures, which displays them along the affected route when they're detected. Now, here's where the differences come into play. This does not have unpark, reverse, and park capabilities. So FSD version 13 can still not go in reverse or park or unpark like we did on the Model 3 yesterday. Again, if you want to watch that video, I'll have it linked down below. This also has a bunch of other upcoming improvements: the 3x model scaling, 3x model context length, audio inputs for better handling of emergency vehicles, improved reward predictions for navigation, improvements to false braking, redesigned controller for smoother and more accurate tracking, and the support for destination options, including pullover, parking spot, driveway, or garage, efficient representation of maps and navigation inputs, and improved cleaning of and handling of camera occlusions. The other thing that I noticed that was significant is you do not have the push button to start FSD anymore, where you can just press and hold on the screen to start like you can on the Model 3. So quite a few differences here, kind of that really makes V13 V13, but I still want to see what it's capable of here and what improvements I notice over the later versions of V12 on the Cybertruck, which I've made videos on. I'll have those linked down below. So let's go ahead and put in a destination. We're going to head downtown, do some city driving, kind of in wet and rainy conditions here, and see how the Cybertruck does. There we go. All right. And we just take off right away. Sweet. The braking and like smoothness of all of it was much improved on my Model 3. So I'm interested to see if that carries over. Felt like we were kind of sticking out pretty far in the lane there, but it's hard to see. I couldn't see. I would have had to creep out about that far too. So we got a weird situation here. We got a mail truck. We've got a car backing out of its driveway. We got two cars. One's turning into the driveway. Kind of a weird one. They're just kind of waving them on, saying, get out of the way of these people. Full stop and then turn. Not as smooth, I don't think, at least not on that stop, as the Model 3. We do have a speed bump coming up here, which if you guys have watched my Model 3 first drive, you know that it did not love that speed bump. But this one, it did slow down for. Totally fine. That one did have a sign, though. I think that might be the difference. I think the Cybertruck might be reading the sign and seeing that there's a speed bump. So this one does not have a sign. Let's see how we do. All right, we're slowing down for it. Well, sort of. We went over that about 15, but we slowed down a little bit. I don't know if the Cybertruck can see the speed bumps better because it's got a front bumper camera or what, but Model 3 just still struggles. I did test it in my neighborhood too, where I've got some pretty bad speed bumps that it always has issues with. It didn't handle it well. Didn't slow down at all. A little indecisive there and wanting to go. It probably could have, but it would have had to give it some juice. So it decided against it. We've got an opening here. It's indecisive again. I'm fine with it waiting there, but maybe don't do the stutter thing, but we're good. We got it. Couple random wiper wipes. It's happened probably 2 or 3 times since I've been driving. We are in the hurry profile, meant to mention that. And of course, this is a hardware 4 vehicle. All the Cybertrucks are hardware 4. Speed control so far, so good. About 41 and a 35, perfectly reasonable on this road. Most people are going much faster than that. We've crept up to 45, 46. So we're getting a little bit high over that speed limit, but again, we are staying with the flow of traffic, which I think is really more important in these types of situations. In neighborhoods, I'd rather it stick strictly to the speed limit, but here on these kind of bigger main roads, you know, staying with the flow of traffic isn't going to get you in too much trouble. So we turn in left here. Nice. Did a good job there. That braking coming up to that stop was a lot smoother. I've noticed it's a little bit more stuttery than the Model 3. That was a nice turn. Didn't go much into the oncoming lane. It cut exactly how much it needed to make the turn. I noticed in my previous version 12 point whatever, 5 point whatever drive on the Cybertruck, it wasn't doing the lane cutting thing at all. It seems like they fixed that almost entirely. But let me know down in the comments if you guys are still experiencing that issue where it turns left and cuts into the oncoming lane too much on your Cybertruck. And while we're just cruising here, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Joa for partnering with me on this video. If you guys are in the market for any premium Tesla accessories, check out my video down in the description. I made a review of 5 of Joa's amazing Tesla accessories, and I've got a link that'll take you to their website. You can view the entire catalog, and if you are interested in picking up any of their great products, you can use my discount code METZ5 to get 5% off your order. So now we're going 39 in the 35, which is perfectly reasonable to me. As you can see, we don't have anyone even remotely close to us, and this truck behind me is getting a little bit close, so people expect a little bit more speed on this kind of road, but again, totally fine. All right, we're getting over into a turning lane here. Up and over this train track. And then we're going to wiggle into this turning lane here. And go. Nice. Now we do need to get right over into this left-hand turn lane, and it's not wanting to, and now we're coming to a complete stop at a green light. So I'm going to disengage and report that. Okay, I reported that. So that's our first kind of weird issue. It was fully stopped at a green light. I tried to give it some time to figure it out since there was no one behind us, but you just can't do that. We can't sit in that situation for that long. So had to disengage there. Hopefully we can get that sorted out. I've had issues at that intersection multiple times where because of the painted lines, you turn off of that right-hand turn lane and you're already almost past the painted lines. It almost has to be a simultaneous move where you turn and then get over like all at the same time to avoid the painted lines. And I think FSD doesn't want to cross those lines so much that it just says, I can't do this, basically. And it's unfortunate, but it's happened to me a couple times there. But we rerouted here. We're winding back through a little area. Actually looked at houses back here when we were going to move. So it's a nice little area here. Nice. Good stuff. The braking still, to me, feels a little bit less than stellar. Kind of just stuttery, and I don't know, just not. I mean, the Model 3 drive, I've done only FSD drives since I got version 13. I've not driven myself one time. I've just tried to use it the whole time, and it is just buttery smooth with the braking, with the turning, with everything. This still feels on the Cybertruck a little bit on the stuttery side. Haven't had a lot of wheel jittering, which is good, but just the braking, it's like they just haven't figured it out yet. I'm sure they will. I have faith. As far as lane centering goes, perfectly fine. Distance away from vehicles in front, perfectly fine. I expect all that to be great, though. This is more about the kind of exaggerated scenarios that everyone wants to see, which is not how the majority of people drive, but people like to see it, so I try my best to force it into weird spots, but it is really unfortunate that it can't back up, because I would have liked to see it execute like a, 4-point turn, 5-point turn to get us out of a little, backed in area or something like that, but can't go in reverse yet. Got her up, ready to go on the highway here. Got a Model 3 behind me, just like mine. Love it. I never get to see them from the outside, because I'm always driving, but it looks really nice. I love the LED light signature on the front of the new Model 3s, and I assume the Model Ys when those get updated next year. I am most likely going to be upgrading to a Model 3 Performance sometime next year. So if you guys want to help me out in that journey and you're considering picking up a Tesla, definitely use my referral link down in the description. I get a little kickback, you guys get a big discount, and it'll help me be able to get closer and closer to that Model 3 Performance. Hard to get this to kind of come across on camera, but I'll try and describe to you what I'm feeling. It's like stuttering. So when I drove on the highway on my Model 3 yesterday, I think, and if that video is not live yet, it will be shortly, but it was the smoothest FSD drive I've ever had on the highway. It just ripped up to speed. It stayed at that speed. It kind of wove in and out when it needed to, but not excessively. It was just a beautiful, smooth drive. And I never felt this kind of like, almost like I'm speeding up and I'm slowing down, I'm speeding up, I'm slowing down. And I'm just getting that a lot with the Cybertruck on 13 so far. And I don't know why. It's like it just can't decide what it wants to do. It's doing it right, it just did it right there. I don't know if you could see it, but it's like, am I gonna go? Am I gonna not? Like, I don't know, it's weird. This little intersection's weird. But it did go the right way. Okay, so we actually gonna turn here, or? Oh, it's just gonna go straight, okay. So this, having the turn signal on here could be a little bit confusing because the people behind me think that I'm turning here, when in fact I'm turning at the next light up here. And this is a straight lane, so this is fine, but could just be a little bit annoying for the people behind. And we do have a service truck right here, so we're gonna need to get over, which we do nice and quickly, which is great. And back to the turn signal on the other side. We're going to swipe right over into this lane. Beautiful. And turn. Wonderful. Perfect. All that, it was exactly right. Nice. All right, that braking was nice and smooth. So we're like 0.3 miles away from the destination, but it's a straight line. So I'm going to pick us a different spot. So I'm just throwing in all different random stuff right now to see. And it's kind of adapting on the fly, which is great. I mean, that updated speed on picking up that new location was really quick. Really smooth stopping there. That was nice. Crept across, then went. This is another tough one. I don't think it's a stop on all sides. And we just crept over kind of until we could see everything and then went. Good stuff. So we got a one-way here. I would like in these kind of more open roads for it to give the cars on this side a little bit more room because it gets really close to like that. Like, God, that just feels so close to me. Maybe it's not as close as it looks, but this thing is big. Yep, it needs to get right over, and it did that. Nice. Good stuff. Yeah, I just wish like on the open roads when we've just got a middle portion that we just hug the left a little more to give the cars that are parked on the side of the road a little bit more space so we don't sideswipe anybody. We need to creep out a little bit more. It is a one-way, but we've got space and we can go. Got some people in the road here. So we're giving them room. Nice. Really, really well done on that. This woman is crossing the road, so we're coming to a complete stop and we're letting her go. Really nice there. Just walking down the middle of the road, but that's fine. I actually had a weird incident at this light where it turned green and the Cybertruck just froze and didn't drive forward. So that was a weird one. Let's see if we do that again. Again, don't need the turn signal right now. That's honestly been the weirdest thing. It's just like kind of the phantom turn signals nonstop. Like it turns it on and off over and over and over again. Look at that. It's just weird. But I want to see with this light if we just go right away or we stutter or don't go at all like we did last time. Oh, all right, we went. Good. So we're still not turning for another whole light. But maybe it's indicating it's switching lanes? I don't know. Because this is a one-way, so we can't turn right here. I turn the turn signal off, and then it turns it on again. Hmm. It's kind of unreal to me that on the same exact version of FSD 13.2.1, you can have such differing experiences between the Model 3 and the Cybertruck. And I get that they're completely different vehicles, they're built differently, they're different sized, obviously. But this has just not been as special as I thought it would be based on how smooth my Model 3 drive was, but we'll keep going. We got a couple more spots we can hit and see if it gets any better, does anything interesting. But so far, it's just been a lot of phantom turn signals, a little bit of riding too close to vehicles parked on the side of the road, and not as impressive and smooth braking as we've had on the Model 3. That's been my biggest takeaway so far. Nothing catastrophic, only the one disengagement where it didn't go with that green light back a little ways back when it missed the turn. But outside of that, it's been really good. Like, it's been really good at getting us there. It's done some weird stuff, but as far as point A to point B, it's done fine. So it's sitting at this green light. Those cars weren't going. It was considering going since they weren't, which is funny. We're getting picture taken over here. I was explaining in the Model 3, it would kind of preemptively turn. It's not doing that as much. It's kind of just waiting until it's completely clear and then turning. I don't know if that has something to do with the steer-by-wire system, and it doesn't need to kind of get ready to turn as much because it can turn on a dime. Maybe that's the case. I'm not sure. I kind of want to see if it's going to like pull over when it gets to this destination or just keep going. The Model 3, if you watch that video, it pulled over. It didn't park itself in a spot, which I wanted it to, but it did pull over in front of the building and stop, much like a taxi would. And I think that's funny because they already have the initiate FSD on the screen like they had in the Cyber Cab. And so you can tell it's very much so like in robo-taxi mode, which I think is really funny. All right, so it got me here. It did pull me all the way over. Okay, it was like gonna slam me into the back of that Jeep. That was not ideal. That was not great, huh? But I think if I had to summarize kind of what my experience has been like between using FSD version 13.2.1 on the Model 3 and then here on the Cybertruck, I would say that it's just less smooth overall on the Cybertruck. Speed control has been great between both models, but turning, braking, indecisiveness just hasn't been as buttery as it was on the Model 3. And I'm not exactly sure why. I'm not sure if it's just the size discrepancy between the two models or what, but and also not having the unpark and the reverse and all that kind of stuff, it just takes away from that version 13 experience a little bit for me right now. Now, all of this will get improved. It's going to come out in future editions. Heck, it may be out by the time you're watching this video. Who knows? But just as far as I can tell between my two drives, between the two models, I think it's just smoother overall on the Model 3 right now. Now, again, might change, might be already changed. But just right now, I would take version 13.2.1 on the Model 3 or Y versus the Cybertruck. This is a toughie because of that FedEx truck parked in the way. It can't see at all, but I think it was using the other side of the FedEx truck to be able to see through, which is smart because that's what I would have done. That's why it didn't creep up at all. Flashing red here. Stop all four ways. Came to a complete stop, checked and went. Perfect. Another stop all four ways. Came to a complete stop right there. 1, 2, check and go. Got to do a little quick dip here. Turn right and then turn left real quick. Came to a complete stop. Creep up so you can see because I can't. All right. It turned and then it's going to have to wait because this truck is zooming. Yep. and then went perfect. Nice. We got to give everybody room here. It's a tight street, no problem. I like how it's handling this street a lot better by driving almost down the middle to keep away from the parked cars on the right there. So already an improvement in that regard, even just in the same drive. All right, we're getting to our destination here. Let's see if it pulls me over here. Yep, it's gonna pull me over as best it can. Just to get out of the way of that truck. And we're good. We'll go into park though. No, not going to park, it's just gonna stop. All right, cool. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like. Let me know down in the comments what's your experience been like on version 13 on the Cybertruck here. Same, better, worse? Let's talk about it down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.